February 2026. A Russian armored column prepares to advance toward the contested city of Pokrovsk in eastern Ukraine. Commanders are confident. Their tanks are buttoned up, engines roaring, and thermal sights scanning the horizon. Then, without warning, the first T-9OM explodes, then another, and another. In under 90 seconds, 12 main battle tanks are reduced to burning scrap metal. Not a single Ukrainian soldier is visible. Not a single anti-tank missile was fired from the front lines. The Russians never saw it coming. What just happened? And how is Ukraine destroying Russian armor before they even get a chance to fire back? To understand what is happening on the battlefield right now, we need to go back 2 years. Since 2024, Ukraine has been quietly developing a new generation of battlefield intelligence tool systems designed not just to fight Russia, but to predict Russian movements before they occur. This isn't science fiction. It is the integration of AI-powered reconnaissance drones, real-time satellite data sharing with NATO allies, and acoustic sensor networks that can detect armored vehicles from over 15 kilometers away. For months, Russian forces adapted to Ukrainian drone warfare by deploying electronic jamming, camouflage nets, and decoy formations. They learned to move at night to disperse and to shoot drones out of the sky. But Ukraine adapted faster. In late 2025, Ukrainian defense contractors, working alongside tech engineers from the United States and Estonia, developed a system codenamed Lynx. It is a networked battlefield awareness platform that combines ground sensors, long-range FPV drones, AI target recognition, and automated fire coordination. The system doesn't just see Russian tanks, it calculates their speed, direction, fuel status, and optimal strike window. It then assigns the nearest available strike asset, whether that is an artillery battery, a loitering munition, or a kamikaze drone swarm. The result: Russian armor is being destroyed before crews even know they are being hunted. Let's break down exactly how this happened. It is 4:47 a.m. local time. A mechanized Russian battalion, consisting of 18 T-9OM tanks, 23 BMP-3 infantry fighting vehicles, and a dozen support trucks, begins rolling west from a staging area near Yasinovata in occupied Donetsk. Their mission: break through Ukrainian defensive lines and secure a key supply route into Pokrovsk, a city that has been contested for months. Russian intelligence believes the Ukrainians are stretched thin in this sector. Satellite imagery from the previous day showed minimal troop presence, no heavy fortifications, and no visible anti-tank positions. It looks like a clear opening. The column moves in staggered formation, maintaining 300 meters between vehicle clusters to minimize damage from artillery standard doctrine. They are using commercial GPS jammers to block Ukrainian drones, and thermal camouflage netting is draped over key assets. The commander is cautious, but optimistic. What the Russians do not know is that 6 kilometers to the northwest, a Ukrainian reconnaissance team has already activated 3 ground-based acoustic sensors. These devices, no larger than a shoebox, are buried along likely approach routes. They detect the low-frequency rumble of diesel engines and tracked vehicles. The moment the Russian column begins moving, the sensors ping the Lynx system. Within 18 seconds, an AI algorithm identifies the column's size, speed, and probable destination. The data is instantly sent to a Ukrainian fire control center located 30 kilometers behind the front line. At 5:11 a.m., a Ukrainian operator launches a Lynx 100 reconnaissance drone from a concealed position. This isn't the small commercial quadcopter seen in viral videos. The Lynx 100 is a fixed-wing UAV with a 40-kilometer range, equipped with thermal imaging and a laser designator. Climbs to an altitude of 3,000 meters, well above the range of Russian portable air defense systems. The drone's camera locks onto the Russian column. The AI begins tracking each vehicle individually, tagging tanks, IFVs, and logistics trucks. Meanwhile, 15 kilometers to the south, a Ukrainian M142 HIMARS launcher receives the targeting data. By 6:30 a.m., the Russian column has moved into a narrow valley between 2 ridgelines. Air defense vehicles move to higher ground. The commander orders radio silence and activates additional jamming equipment. When a mechanized column enters a choke point, it compresses. Vehicles bunch up, spacing decreases, and escape routes disappear. The Russians think they are being cautious. At 6:34 a.m., three things happen simultaneously. A swarm of 12 FPV kamikaze drones is launched from a concealed position 4 kilometers away. These are military-grade loitering munitions, each carrying a 3-kilogram-shaped charge warhead designed to penetrate reactive armor. They fly low and fast, hugging the terrain to avoid radar. A HIMARS battery fires a salvo of 6 M30A1 alternative warhead rockets. Each rocket contains 182,000 tungsten steel pellets designed to shred soft-skinned vehicles and expose personnel. The rockets are programmed to airburst 50 meters above the column. A Ukrainian artillery battery 6.2S3 Akatsiya self-propelled howitzers begins firing laser-guided Kvitnik shells. These shells use semi-active laser guidance to hit moving targets with precision, guided by the Lelika drone painting the targets from above. The Russians have 15 seconds before impact. First FPV drone slams into the lead T-90M at 6 hours, 34 minutes, and 16 seconds. The shaped charge punches through the turret roof. The tank explodes with such force that the turret is launched 30 meters into the air. 2 seconds later, the HIMARS rockets arrive. The tungsten pellets shred through truck canopies, disable optical systems, and neutralize exposed infantry. Fuel trucks rupture and ignite. Smoke and fire engulf the rear of the column. The second hits another T-90M, splitting it in half. The third lands among a cluster of support vehicles, destroying radios, ammunition, and a mobile command post. The FPV drone swarm continues its attack. Operators 7 kilometers away pilot these drones using first-person video feeds, adjusting in real time as Russian vehicles attempt evasive maneuvers. One drone strikes a tank's engine compartment, immobilizing it. Another hits the side of a command vehicle, killing the battalion's executive officer. In under 90 seconds, 12 Russian tanks are destroyed or disabled. 7 infantry fighting vehicles are burning, 14 support trucks are obliterated. Over 120 Russian soldiers are dead or wounded. Survivors try to retreat, but the narrow valley offers no cover. The few vehicles that manage to turn around are picked off one by one as they flee eastward. By 7:15 a.m., the battle is over. The Russian battalion has been annihilated. Russian military bloggers begin posting fragmented reports of a catastrophic ambush near Pokrovsk. Intercepted radio communications suggest a total loss of combat effectiveness for the entire battalion. Moscow initially blames Ukrainian artillery and NATO-supplied munitions. But intelligence officers reviewing drone footage notice something disturbing. The Ukrainians didn't miss. Every shot, every drone strike, and every shell hit its intended target. That level of precision suggests a level of battlefield awareness that Russian forces are not prepared for. By evening, the Russian General Staff convenes an emergency meeting. Questions are raised. How did Ukraine know the exact route? How did they coordinate drones, rockets, and artillery with such precision? And most importantly, can they do this again? The answer, terrifyingly for Russia, is yes. Ukrainian military sources confirmed that the Pokrovsk ambush was the first full-scale combat test of the Lynx system. It worked flawlessly. Within 72 hours, similar ambushes are reported in Zaporizhia and Kharkiv oblasts. Russian mechanized units are being destroyed before they can even close with Ukrainian positions. Tank losses spike, morale plummets. Russian commanders begin refusing orders to advance, citing unfavorable conditions. Western intelligence analysts describe Lynx as a force multiplier of unprecedented scale. By integrating AI, sensor networks, and real-time data, Ukraine has effectively created a transparent battlefield where Russian movements are visible the moment they begin. Moscow orders an immediate overhaul of armored tactics. Columns are broken into smaller, dispersed groups. Movement is restricted to nighttime and poor weather. Electronic warfare or EW assets are deployed more aggressively to disrupt Ukrainian communications. Russian engineers also begin deploying a new generation of anti-drone systems, including the Tor M2 and Panzer S1, optimized for small UAVs. Some units are equipped with handheld jammers and directed energy weapons. But these countermeasures come at a cost. Dispersed formations are slower and less coordinated. Night movement reduces visibility for Russian crews. Electronic jamming often disrupts their own communications as much as Ukraine's. And these anti-drone systems, while effective, are expensive and limited in number. By late February 2026, The impact of Lynx is undeniable. Russian armored offensives in the Donbass have stalled. Casualty rates for tank crews have tripled. Logistics convoys are being destroyed before they reach the front. Western military analysts compare the Lynx system to the introduction of radar in World War II, a technology that fundamentally changed the nature of warfare. Just as radar allowed defenders to see attacking bombers before they arrived, Lynx allows Ukraine to see Russian tanks before they fire. Traditional armor tactics are rapidly becoming obsolete. The success of Lynx has triggered a strategic reassessment within NATO. If Ukrainian forces, using relatively inexpensive drones and AI, can devastate Russian armor, what does that mean for Western tank doctrine? Are the M1 Abrams and Leopard 2 now obsolete? Some analysts argue that tanks still have a role, but only if integrated into networked AI-driven systems. Others believe the era of heavy armor is over, and future land forces will rely on lighter, more mobile platforms supported by drone swarms. China, observing the conflict closely, is accelerating its own AI-powered battlefield management systems. The People's Liberation Army is investing heavily in autonomous weapons and electronic warfare. It's clearly influenced by the events in Ukraine. What happened near Pokrovsk wasn't just another battlefield loss for Russia. It was a demonstration of how modern warfare is evolving. Ukraine's Lynx system proves that you don't need numerical superiority. You need information, speed, and precision. Russia is trying to counter Lynx, but Ukraine is already steps ahead. Every ambush provides more data. Every engagement refines the algorithm. The system is learning. So here's the question. If a relatively small nation can deploy AI systems that devastate one of the world's largest militaries, what does that mean for the future of global conflict? Can traditional superpowers maintain dominance in a world where a laptop and a drone swarm can destroy a tank battalion? What do you think will happen next? Will Russia find a way to counter Lynx? Or is the age of tank warfare truly over? Let us know in the comments below.